Imagine that we're both looking at a cloud. You think the cloud looks like a duck, and I think the cloud looks like a whale. So, what is true? Most people, indoctrinated by our modern society, would answer by saying something like, both are true to each person, or what each person is experiencing is their truth. Truth is subjective, they might say. So, what's the answer? Well, whatever is true, and not what anyone thinks about it. So, let's get back to our cloud. You think it looks like a duck, and I think it looks like a whale. The truth is the cloud, and not what either of us think about the cloud. The truth is the universally perceived objective reality. If it's not universal, it's not true. The truth is what is, and not what anyone thinks about it. Let's take a step back here for all of those of you yelling at the screen that reality is an illusion. Well, yes, it is. And whatever is true. Just because there is a trick doesn't mean it isn't still magic. When we watch a stage magician do magic, we are always impressed until we learn the trick. Once we learn the trick, we decide it isn't real, and we no longer find it intriguing. This has led to a massive disenchantment of the people of the world, as spiritualists witness reality dissolving during visionary experiences, and as science continues to uncover more and more of the trick behind the creation of the physical world, we become disillusioned with the profundity of its reality and determined it isn't real at all. But, nevertheless, it is, and we are. But the reality of the predicament we find ourselves in is mortifying. Most people can't handle the truth because it's too intense emotionally to cope with. Rejecting truth because it is emotionally uncomfortable is unenlightened. Rejecting truth in favor of a more comfortable perception of the world is the proverbial matrix, or Plato's cave, and we call it delusion. A person who cannot accept the truth, who cannot accept reality, will create a more emotionally comfortable false reality through which to perceive the world. And the enlightened among us are not free from this threat. Many people in the early stages of enlightenment, upon discovery of the spiritual realms, identify the material plane, the body and the ego, correctly so, as the antithesis of the unified non-manifested reality of the spiritual planes. Because of this realization, we tend to run away from the physical and toward the spiritual, rejecting the material plane in favor of the spiritual realm, loathing and even punishing our physical self and our ego. Remember that we're meant to bridge the divide between these realities, not to reject a fundamental part of our nature, but to bring harmony between them. Even being spiritual can become an identity that has the potential to keep us trapped on the lower levels of enlightenment. We have to be careful not to believe our own interpretations of ineffable spiritual experiences.
I'm from Venus.
A hallmark of delusion, and black magic for that matter, is the manipulation of language. A person trapped within delusion will manipulate language to convince others that reality is as their delusion sees it, as opposed to how it actually is. The gross misunderstanding of truth that we see today is widespread and deliberate. Postmodern abstractionist philosophy tells us that nothing has any inherent meaning, or that words, being arbitrary sounds, have no fundamental basis in reality and thus no objectivity. This has created a literal Tower of Babel-like atmosphere where people cannot communicate with each other even in the same language. We find it necessary to predefine terms before communicating because each person defines the same words differently.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is. Yes.
Language is not arbitrarily created. It's emergent as an expression of experiential reality, and its foundations are glossolalic, and we'll discuss that more in a future video. The hidden truth of our existence and the secrets of our reality are hidden within it, for those of us with ears to hear it.